And that's a déjà vu moment somehow. We heard that before. Let's talk a bit more about the Greek debt crisis and the country's relationship with its creditors. So we're joined by Markus Will. He's an economist at the St. Gallen University in Switzerland. Good to have you with us. Let's start with that bailout talk. Now, we hear that Greece hasn't made much progress yet in terms of implementing reforms and cutting expenditure. What's the situation exactly?
Well, the situation is that Greece is nowhere near where it should have been in connection with the negotiations about the current program from last year. So let's not talk about the 1% here or there or the pension fund reform. Take, for example, the privatization fund, which should have been 50 billion euros. And now the talks is that it probably will be 15 billion or even lower than 15 billion. So Greece is back on the economic and political agenda.
Now, but with this refugee crisis raging on, in particular, Greece has to stem an awful lot of that. Can it really be expected to overhaul its economy now?
Well, first of all, I think the situation demonstrates how important it was to keep Greece in the European Currency Union and the European family, because it's so important on the southeast border of the European Union to solve the refugee problem there. That's, having said this, it's a political issue, and I think Europe needs to take all the financial burden away from Greece, which is in connection with the refugee crisis. In a situation where Greece is suffering and Greece is having really the refugee problem on top of its economic situation, obviously one has to discuss on how one should carry on with the austerity program.
Of course, the word haircut keeps popping up again and again. Is this what it will come down to in the end?
Well, in the very end, it will come down to some kind of a haircut for Greece. I mean, they have 180% debt to GDP ratio. They have only a limited primary budget surplus. They have flat growth for 2016 expected. So at some point in the end, yes, of course, there will be some kind of a haircut. It's a question whether this is going to be IMF money or European money which will be cutted. But in the end, there will be a haircut. But the issue is, if we would do this for one country, we would have to do this for other countries as well at some certain stage. And just to put it into perspective, when Greece went into the crisis in 2010, it had a debt ratio of roughly 130% to GDP. And guess one other country at the moment has 135 GDP debt ratio. That's Italy. And Italy has a debt burden of 2.1 trillion euro, even larger in nominal rates than Germany. So you could expect that no one could do anything on this one.
All right, so we could see a domino effect there. Markus Will, economist at the St. Gallen University in Switzerland. Thank you so much for this.